My name's Brad. I'm a practicing blacksmith. I worked as an IT guy. I've done work in the construction industry, and I also did 7 years in the service. I was lucky enough to learn of the existence of BernieSanders.com/events. I signed up for a couple of events, and then I decided to set up my own event, and I do a weekly phone bank out of my home. In terms of qualifications, Bernie is head and shoulders above the rest of the field. In my view, qualification is synonymous with judgment. Bernie has the judgment that we need. The people who have been in charge of the country for the past 50 or 60 years, they haven't been representing us. They've been representing special interests. They've been representing big business. And we finally have a chance to elect a candidate who does have a citizen's interest in the front of his mind from the time he wakes up until the time he goes to bed.
My name is Carolina Castrojano, and I am getting ready to graduate from IUPUI. I'm the president of the Native American Student Alliance there. I'm also an activist in the Latino and Indigenous communities and a board member for the Indiana-Kentucky chapter of the American Indian Movement. I first heard about Bernie Sanders, it was around 2008, 2009, right after the bubble burst, and I was working in the financial industry, so I saw the fallout of all the people losing their homes, and I heard him calling out Alan Greenspan, and it's what really motivated me to leave that industry. The two issues which really make him the candidate for me are, one, his stance on civil rights for all people of color, because I don't feel like any other candidate currently or in the past has really addressed our issues. I feel like they either ignore us or they pander to us. And Bernie Sanders is listening to what we are telling him matters in our communities. I'm a citizen of the Lipan Apache tribe of Texas. Bernie Sanders is the only person in Congress who was vocal and stood up about the Oak Flat incident where our land was taken from us and sold to mining companies, and he is the one who introduced the bill to save Oak Flat. Those two right there have proven to me that he's not just someone pushing rhetoric. He is a man about getting business done.
My name is Elizabeth Hyde. I am a 10th grade English teacher on the east side of Indianapolis. I've been working with this campaign, volunteering since August. I've hosted over 20 events. I've attended more than 20 events. And I really passionately feel that Bernie Sanders is our best choice for president. The issue that I feel most strongly about is equality. As a teacher, I see a lot of kids that are plenty smart, but they face a lot of obstacles at home that makes it so they aren't achieving their full potential. And that's tied to economic inequality and to institutional racism. I feel that when you level the playing field, when you make it so people have access to childcare, when people can decide when they're going to have children, when people have a job that pays well, where they can work 40 hours a week, support their family, and have time to spend time with their children, that's where those gaps disappear.
My name is Brandon Cosby. I am the executive director at Flanner House of Indianapolis Incorporated. Flanner House is a community service center. It's actually the oldest community service center in the state of Indiana. I first found out about Bernie Sanders long before he had declared his candidacy. The particular news clip that I saw was him walking to work when he was in the Senate. And I loved the idea that, here this individual is surrounded by all of the success in Washington, D.C. with the number of people, elected officials who travel with these very large entourages. Through the crowd, like carrying his lunch in a brown paper bag, was Bernie Sanders. And I thought, this is the guy. This is exactly the kind of guy that we've been looking for. Ideologically, he is the individual who is running for office that is representative of the things that I believe America ought to be. Not just when he's standing in a room full of black people does he talk about issues around African Americans, but he very specifically talks about those issues to all Americans and makes sure that folks are aware that, yes, that this is a disproportionate kind of thing that actually did impact people of color, and more than just people of color ought to be concerned and outraged about it. I got an email from a parent of one of my former students who said, hey, we're putting together a rally. Would you be interested in coming to speak? It was unbelievably cold and the wind was unbearable. But there was a beautiful energy in the crowd, and I think that that's really ultimately what has been the beauty of Senator Sanders' campaign. It's not this whole idea that you have to do everything. Just do your part.
Indiana is really important this year because we're coming in a really tight race. and where every delegate matters.
I think that if Indiana is ready for a time of healing, we can learn a lot from Senator Sanders, and if we stand with him, we'll see some actual change get done.
With the shrinking gap between Bernie and Hillary, and the fact that we have 83 pledged delegates in our state, the way Indiana swings may determine who gets the nomination. So I can't remember a time that Indiana was as important in terms of strategy in a primary as it is this year.
Thanks to social media, thanks to people who are involved in the political process and talking to their neighbors and their friends, it's becoming a louder message, it's reaching more people. And if you want to hear it, if you want to help spread it, you definitely need to check out the campaign office, go on any of the websites. Whatever your personal talents, your capabilities are, there's room for you in this campaign.
Every single person who's against this campaign, whether it's other Democrats who prefer a different candidate or whether it's the Republicans, they're hoping that we give up. They're hoping that we're so busy or so tired that we say, oh, well, I'm sure somebody else is taking care of this. I can't just wait and hope that Bernie is elected. I have to be a part of the process and say, if I want Bernie, I have to fight for Bernie and say that we're gonna make this happen. But I can't do it alone. We have a campaign office in Broad Ripple. It's 6367 Guilford. You can phone bank. You can call voters from around Indiana and help see where they stand. You can canvass. You go out and knock on doors on your own or with a buddy. You can do data entry if you're somebody who's more shy. You can help take volunteer info and plug it into the database so we can reach other volunteers better. And there's other stuff too. You just have to show up and say, hey, I'm ready to help. I want to make Bernie happen. How can I help? No revolution ever came from a couple people just on their own. It takes thousands and millions of people standing up and saying, we have to change this, and we're gonna show up and make this happen. Yeah, it's an uphill road. I'm not gonna pretend that he's currently winning. But we've won 8 out of the last 9 states. We are narrowing the gap with every caucus and every primary, and it's not over till it's over. Getting Bernie Sanders elected is not a moment, it's a movement. We need every single person to come and show up. Whatever time you can spare, we need you here with other volunteers who are happy to show you the ropes, other new volunteers that you can get to know and maybe have as future friends. We need every single volunteer. We need you if we're gonna have Bernie win. We need you if we're gonna take this movement and make a better America for our kids and for our neighbors. Come and join us today.